Have a price on it. What would it be for you? How far would you go to protect it? Remember I told you we've had drive-by shootings here? Okay. 8 out of the last 4th of July's here, we've had drive-by shootings. You can go on YouTube and see what happened here in 2009 when 25 miners come here and try to take over where I had almost 400 people here. Threatened to kill people, threatened to kill a woman's throat and her 2 kids, and the kid was only maybe not even 2 years old. They was twins. Exposed herself to children. The mob was led by about a 450-pound athlete, I tell people. No shirt on, marble, bald headed, and tattooed all over him, and all this and that, and going and spitting on people and pulling microphones out of my entertainer's hands, and just carrying on like a wild animal, They're walking around me, knocking on, I'm not even here. They're walking around me, and I'm looking at them, they're walking, and they ain't even talking to me. But they're coming up behind my back and doing vulgar things behind my back where I couldn't see them. But they would not touch me. They would not talk to me. They did not come from me. They came from you. They came for you. So when I asked you, what would you do to protect your ground? When you get back to your comfort zone tonight, whoever it is, and you're laying there by yourself, and your buddies are calmed down, your laughter's over, and your joking's over, think about what it would be. What would you do to protect what you believe in? I'll make reference now to this here big guy, about 450-pound ugly, standing in front of you and asking you, what do you think today? So if you back up on what you believe today because you got 450-pound ugly standing in front of you, what you had been fighting for, and you were intimidated to the point where you wouldn't tell him what you're standing for, that ass kicking you took that day, but not standing for what you believe in, will last a lifetime. But if you had told this man what you stood for and held your ground, that ass kicking may last about 20 minutes. And it won't hurt all that long. But if you give up what you have here, that'll last a lifetime. There was a young man who made a statement once in my life, and I remember when he said it. He said, if you see civil rights taking place and human rights taking place, and you're 36 years old and you don't speak up and you live to be 90, you would have died at the age of 36. You know who that was? Martin Luther King. When I was a young man your age and I heard him give the speech, I never knew that I would be living up to his words. What am I standing for? Well, listen, y'all. Just listen for a minute. Listen and tell me what you don't hear. Springtime now. Tell me what you don't hear.
Birds.
Huh?
Birds.
You married?
No.
You want to get married?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Birds. Yes. I had kids in not kindergarten, but elementary school. Young kids. 10, 12 years old, 14 years. They come here and they walk this land with me from time to time. And they'll pick up birds. And they'll say, why they died from? How come they died? I can't tell them. But when Professor Michael Hedges came here and did a study on my land, and y'all know that name now, Professor Michael Hedges.
He's the one that the organic bank health survey were a part of.
He did a study on this place and told me we have right here, where you're sitting, the worst air that's ever been tested. We used to have the pretty sounds when we were walking through the woods. The birds, You walk through the woods and you hear the critters, When I was a young boy, 8, 9 years old, I had a pet hawk, And it fell out of a tree, and my mama seen me with it. She said, oh boy, that thing ain't gonna make it, boy. It ain't gonna make it. 2 years later, they knew what it was that by watching the sky. She didn't like that thing because it messed on my shoulder all the time. She thought it was, ignorant to me carrying a hawk on my shoulders. What are you doing, You're a pet fox, I had a, well, I tracked him. I fancied myself to be a fine tracker. I was 9 years old. And it was very easy to track a three-legged fox. It wasn't hard at all. Now, I thought around this road here, under the ways, and he went in a hole, and I tried to get in behind him. I was going to get him, you know, and not knowing there ain't enough room for him and me. And after I got in there, what would I do, you know? So I come back to the house. The house used to be right there in front of the corners. I came back, and the tool shed, the blacksmith shop was up here. The white cabin is there. And I came back and I got me a gig, because we used to use gigs for turtle hunting. You know, I know cousins here that got less than 4 fingers left by hunting turtles with their hands, you know, they'll bite your fingers off. If you put a gig back, you get them, you know. So I took the gig and I got me a bullet sock and I went and got the fox. And, I brought him back here and we had a paling fence here, up in here. The coal house is right there. My dad says, how you going to get that fox? How you let the fox loose, you know? So I had a coon cage, and I took the coon cage on one side of the fence, tied the fox up to the fence's head, slid the box up behind him, and then got on the other side of the fence and unhooked his head. He didn't say that was a good job. He didn't say anything because he didn't want to be wrong, you know. But, I don't know, I wasn't keeping track of time much, but it wasn't that long, but after a while, feeding him and talking to it and everything, I let it loose. And it would go and come. It would just go and come, you know. It wouldn't come around me when I had a lot of people here, but it would come around and I'd run into it in the woods and, you know, stay with me in the woods. You see, the point I'm getting to, look at this. And Jim will go riding up here and saying, can you see the mine site from your house? My goodness, man. I couldn't sleep at night, and the tractor was going backwards, and the horn blowing up on everything, and you know, dynamite. You know, dynamite at nighttime sometimes against the law. And I got to tell you, it's against the law to do this type of mining. We don't have no law enforcement, you know, and so it's against the law. Did everybody sign their paper?
I know.
Yeah, please. It's very important. I've had governors and everybody else sign this paper, and Robert Kennedy and everybody's been here. When Robert Kennedy came here, I took him out there and he said like this, my God, he said, if anybody else would have done this to us, it would have been an act of war. You remember them times, people? You ever hear them terms? You see them moving down? Oh, yeah, my goodness, you know. I looked at him and I said, well, don't you understand it is? I mean, the rally we're having downtown today, where I was at today, you know, I was up in front of the whole crowd talking and hollering and screaming, save Blair Mountain. Can you see me? Oh, sure, you can see me. So that's some statements I was making when I was leaving, because I wanted people to know that we're going to do a reenactment of the Blair Mountain March. The old man you see me with, that you asked me, was my father. He was the Secretary of State. During the last attempt that we did, I had a heart attack. We were doing a reenactment of the Blair March in '99. And a reporter interviewed me and said, what do you think, Larry? I said, we're going to have violence today. There's going to be people hurt today. 3 miles into the march, we had violence. People got beat up, you know. The old man was 85 years old, but he was still Secretary of State of West Virginia. He got assaulted. Yes. I pulled a man off of him myself. And the guy who was giving the order to beat Mr. Heckler up, who actually got the coal miners a health and safety law in 1969, which ultimately brought black lung benefits to them. This was the man that did it. But done more for these people than anybody, and they beat him up. Union cars holding coal miners, beating him up. Okay. Now, we're going to be doing a reenactment of the Miners' March again in June, and I'm trying to get at least 1,000 people to do it. And you're welcome to come.
Larry, they may not know about, how many of you know what